table, but then we'll be taking their other
Internet
Okay, ladies, take your seats, please. We're gonna roll into
By the
this.
way, I know one of your employees, but I forgot her name. She's a Charger cheerleader.
Oh yeah, Tracy.
Yes.
Isn't she so cute?
She's so sweet.
She's the events director.
Yeah, I love her.
I wonder if she knows my friend Angela.
She's the one that used to be a
Get
Charger
you
cheerleader.
in contact with her. Oh,
She's the events
All
director.
right, welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today. So we're on a tight schedule. We've got about an hour, and our intention, our purpose for today is to tune you up, improve your business, do what it takes to be able to get to from where you are to where you need to be. So love Rick Franzi, right? Rick is the guy bringing us all together, the whole critical mass community. JJ, Richa, and I are trusted advisors with Rick's group. So he's got so many different groups and moving parts, and one of the things that he's doing is he's bringing people like us to help embellish, educate, and help give you guys the tools you need to go to where you need to be. That's what we're doing here today. So our purpose is to engage, and it must be done.
What's interesting is everyone has so much different backgrounds. Oh my God, different industries. It's very, very diverse. So what we're going to do may not directly apply to what you do, but we're going to engage you to kind of get you to think about how it applies or how you deeply think into what you're doing so you could change what you do or help you improve your own business.
And we're going to try to keep it to an hour. So it's going to be tight, but it's going to be fun and wonderful. So first order of business is we are givers. We are giving away gifts. And I'm going to pass the hat. And if you want to receive a gift, we're actually going to give you four, call them door prizes. One is the gift of energy. We all want more energy. One is the gift of education. And we also have gifts of value. So if you want to put your card in the hat, and we'll have a drawing at the end. Okay? All right. Just giving it away. Okay.
He doesn't have a card. There you go.
Yeah, well, what is it?
Write it on a piece of paper and throw it in there.
We need to go over networking 101. No.
Yeah. So, everybody knows what that means now. Isn't that great? Yeah. Okay, so starting off, like I say, I've been, JJ and I have been involved with Rick for a while. This is my background. I've been in business now for 30 years. I was a logistics officer in the Marine Corps for a total of 24 years. So I ran the business of the Marine Corps, earned my MBA, owned several businesses, went through the corporate ranks, did that whole gauntlet, and then have been an entrepreneur for the past 15 years. Some of my clients include Tony Robbins. I worked with and toured with Tony for a couple of years and still have a contract with him. I serve his community as well. So, you know, for me, business is a heartfelt thing. It's something that we get to do to exchange value, provide value, and that's we're going to give you today an opportunity to reflect on why you're in business and what you're doing specifically. So,
all right. A little bit about me. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Got the bug for an entrepreneur right after I graduated from college, about 3-4 years. I only worked in corporate America after that. I started 10 different companies. I sold 3 of them. One of them was a very large multinational company, mainly in software. So my background from an educational standpoint is I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and a master's in software engineering. Since about 2008, I've been an angel investor in startup companies as well. So I spent a lot of time mentoring and providing pro bono services to startups. Most of what I do now, also in 2009, I bought a bunch of companies and sold them because of the lack of management expertise. So it was a lot of opportunities to buy companies around that time. And so I started a private equity firm and bought a bunch of companies and sold some of them. I still have one left. And so most of my time I spend is helping companies from an operational standpoint. I help them with restructuring, fix them, get them back on track, help them grow, whatever they need from an operational standpoint, even financial standpoint as well. That's it about me.
Okay, so that's who we are. So, like I said, the purpose of today is for you to walk away with value on how you can improve your business. So just real quick, how many people actually own their own business? Just for show of hands. Okay, good. So this is good. And even if you don't own the business, you own your responsibility in the business. So,
yeah.
So that's what we're going to be doing, is giving you all perspectives on yourselves around what you can do to be able to take it from where it is again to where it needs to be. So what's exciting about that is you're going to walk away, ideally, walking out this door with a whole new perspective, kind of a whole new paradigm on what you do, why you do it, and how you do it. It's a big ideal to do in an hour, but that's the intention. And you're here for a reason. I mean, look at this table, look at this group of people. You know, you all happen to be, you know, women, and I love the whole ideal of women in leadership. I'm actually a contractor with the Institute for Gender Partnership, and I facilitate the conversation of women in leadership in boardrooms. And for me, it's not about women talking about women, it's men stepping up and realizing the value of women. So you're here for a reason. I'm thrilled, I'm getting chills right now. I love talking to a room full of women because you are the future, women are the future. And I can embellish you with my philosophy and everything and why that is, but it's true. It really
It'll take so much time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm excited.
Go ahead.
He's the right guy, see?
There we go. Okay, so as we reflect on this is going to be very interactive here today. So the first thing I want you to do is, you know, again, think about why you're here. I mean, you're here for a reason. You know, we talked about our purpose. And think about what's been going well in your business, just for a moment. Just think about what your business is, why you're in your business, and just consider this. It's kind of a rhetorical thought process now. And then now think about what could be better. So think about things you could be doing differently in your business. Think about maybe some operations, some processes, some systems that you know you could have, but you just haven't employed them. So I want you to write down, by the way, what we just passed out is this entire presentation with opportunity to write on the right, the slides are on the left and the notes are on the right. You're gonna be filling up these pages, you'll see, because this is a very experiential engagement here. First thing I want you to do is somewhere on that sheet, and you can write it anywhere you want to on any of those sheets, write down the biggest challenge that you're confronted with right now, just in a few words. The biggest challenge that you know in your heart that you're up against right now in the growth of your business. I'll give you 1 minute for that.
I got Star Wars. There's a Star Trek with
By the way,
here.
one of the things that JJ and I realized, everything that's going to happen, and it happens over the next hour, is happening for a reason. Everything. You know, again, your antenna. I'll challenge you to put your antenna up. Start seeing things that you're not seeing, because you're going to see some pretty cool things coming up. So, all right. So now that you've written that down, everybody wrote something down. Turn to the person next to you, and 30 seconds each, share what you just wrote down. Go.
Getting in front of the is your so that's my challenge. Building my business. Is it operational or is it just like research or
Just trying to make it like good.
is that what it was, an operational challenge?
I didn't really do that one.
Oh, that's yeah, so just getting in front of the decision makers.
Okay, second person share. Second person share. Okay, wrap up the conversation, please. Wrap it up. All right, so kind of wrap it up, ladies. Slow down. Good.
This is going to be your biggest challenge.
I love you.
stop.
So you have the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, so notice what's happening. Notice the engagement. Notice how you're feeling right now. Notice the energy in the room. Very collaborative, very sharing. Love it. I mean, and this is the culture that we like to create in a room, because this is what the results are all about. It's all about innovation, right? And that's a buzzword. So before we get into it, so anyone want to share anything based on their experience just now? If they had anything at all?
We're having the same struggle. We literally were reading each other's minds. Like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. This same exact thing.
I can't believe the magic we bring to the table.
I know, yeah. We had the same thing too.
That's very cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
So it was synergistic.
Isn't that amazing? By the way, everything happens for a reason,
Yeah.
right? And so when we create this space of collaboration and you cross-pollinate, you can have your antenna up and just be aware. I mean, you wrote down that challenge for a reason, because our intention is that you're going to have ideas on how to overcome that challenge at the end of today. Because there's a process here. And so the word, the innovation, right? So we think about, it's such a buzzword these days, you know, innovation. Right? Wow. So what is it? What is innovation? Just anybody? How do you define innovation?
Creating something.
Creating something.
Creativity.
Creating something that makes something better. So it's improving, you know what I mean? It's like our filling a need with something that doesn't currently exist.
Yeah.
Love it.
Pioneering.
Pioneering, yeah. Ooh, pioneering. I always heard the definition of pioneer is somebody that's running out ahead that's got a bunch of arrows in their back, right? That's a pioneer. A lot of risk. A lot of risk out there when it comes. So with innovation, if you knew how to innovate, you would have already done it, right? So what we want to do is give you the condition of what it's going to take to actually innovate in your business and change what needs to be changed. Ooh, there's the big bad word, change, right? Change. The key to be successful in business is to embrace change and want to do it. And frankly, innovate the way you think. That's what it's about. So here we are living in the digital age. So we talk about disruption, right? So the digital disruption has already happened. So if you look at the reality of the condition of the marketplace that we live in today, there's companies out there that are they're setting the trends, right? Like the world's largest hotel provider, the hospitality provider, owns no hotels, right? The world's largest bank processes no money, it's Society One. The world's largest movie purveyor owns no theaters. The world's largest taxi service owns no vehicles. So think about this.
That's innovation.
And it's a mind bender, because look at this. I mean, the world's largest software companies own no apps. You know, it goes on and on. And communication, the world's largest telecommunication companies own no infrastructure. So if you process this and think about this, it's like, well, how did they do it? Why did they do it? The question's rhetorical right now, but think about it. Just put yourself in the condition of the reality of our lives today. And, you know, what's going to be next for you? What must you do to innovate and do what needs to be done to be competitive and to differentiate yourself? So too many people in business don't know what they don't know, right? And frankly, too many people don't want to know it. Because we all have a status quo, right? We all have a condition that we're in. Most of us have a good status quo. You know, we're here, we're healthy, we got a great attitude, you know, we're well fed, you know. This is great. I mean, and you think about this, by the way, the rest of the world, I mean, here we are in the Center Club. This is one of the fine, this is the original boardroom in the Center Club and everything. Look at where we are. Just for a moment, extensive gratitude for what the heck you're doing here, right? So be grateful. And then also, as a business leader, it's your responsibility to know what you don't know about business. Because it's easy to be oblivious, to be ignorant, you know? And I'm just like any other guy. At the end of the day, I want to go home and turn on the TV and eat potato chips and drink beer and do nothing. I want to do that. I'm a creature of comfort, like we all are. So your challenge today, in this brief period of time we have together, is to stretch those comfort zones and be receptive to what you don't know that you don't know. So we have a construct that we're going to follow here on how to help you see things differently. The first one is to pay attention. And you already all are. I can feel it. You've had the experience. You can see the energy. It's a very collaborative energy in the space. And ideally, you want to keep your eye on the ball. So we're going to show you a quick video now. And by the way, if any of you have seen this video before, don't give the answer. Okay. This is a 90-second video, so just pay full attention and follow the instructions.
Count how many? This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball.
Focus.
How many passes did you count?
How many?
15.
The correct answer is 15 passes.
Nice.
But did you see the gorilla?
Yes.
You didn't see.
You didn't see, yeah. Most people don't.
The first time the gorilla in the room.
The girl, or the old couple.
I saw him.
This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabri.
So how many people did see the gorilla? Oh my God, there's some people who didn't see it.
So what's your
Oh my God.
for the people that didn't see the gorilla? How are you feeling
That's
right now?
very funny.
I was more so thinking about, like, is there someone else wearing white that I'm not used to?
Yeah.
I was, and I was like, well, that girl has white sneakers on, so then I was trying to count them too, and it's just
That's
like
very,
you're so
very
focused,
interesting.
you know? Yeah.
It's
Trying to
amazing
figure
when you
out how
focus.
many times they passed the ball when they were standing behind somebody. I'm like, did they?
Yeah.
Right. So notice what we were focusing on. We were focusing on what you had to focus on, and then all the peripherals. Because the mind is a wonderful thing. Yeah, I mean, the visual cortex, and that was all strictly visual stimulation. Imagine combining that with auditory and kinesthetic. It gets confusing really quickly when it comes to all the data that's coming at you. So again, moral of the story is to focus. I gotta tell you, the first time I saw that, I didn't see the gorilla. I'm still convinced to this day that there was no gorilla. I mean, it was just overwhelming for me, but it was what an impact, right? So anyway, great. It's good moral. So to notice, by the way, what are you not seeing in your business? So that's the first point, is keeping your eye on the ball, and the ball is a metaphor for what you're not seeing, you know? Being aware of what you're not seeing. And we all have processes in what we do. So analyze your process, understand your process, and we're gonna be doing this pretty specifically here in a moment. Be open to suggestions. Again, we call it strategic objectivity. Be able to see things the way other people are seeing them, that you're not seeing them. We're all tacticians to some extent. Leilani and I were just talking. She just finished reading the book E-Myth. Who's read E-Myth?
Oh wow.
E-Myth. You gotta read
people.
E-Myth, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about how most business owners are stuck in what we call tacticitis, in the inness of the business, doing things, so many things.
Is that a new word you came up with?
Tacticitis. I think I may have made that. I don't know.
exactly.
I make up a lot of words.
Tacticitis.
Tacticitis. But again, so improving the process and be aware of it, not being oriented toward what you're not seeing. I mean, but be ready for that, but keep your eyes open, you know, and be receptive. Make changes that are necessary. A lot of people talk about innovation, but they don't do what needs to be done. And then finally, systemizing and track results and do what it takes. Because again, a lot of people pay lip service on what they have to do, but condition your mind to think differently, to think innovatively, and that's going to make all the difference. Okay, so foundation is set. What we're going to do now is we're going to get into a case study. So, case study. Are there any Harvard MBAs in the room? Harvard? This is the method that Harvard teaches during their MBA program. It's the Harvard case study method. I got my MBA from Boston University, so it was the same program, the case study method. This is the method that the most prolific leaders in our world use to be able to learn and set the foundation. So JJ is now going to run you through a case study, and like you said, a lot of these components may not apply to you, but based on everything we talked about, see what you're not seeing and apply these concepts and these ideals to your business, and we're going to be discussing it along the way. Any questions? Ready to go? You guys ready? All right, fully present, ready to engage? It's all yours.
They're eating now. So.
Yeah. Eating. This is going to be fun now. I didn't expect that.
So, good morning again. Thank you for having us. Again, so we're going to talk about a case study, and what Chris said, case studies are really important. I also teach at Concordia University. I teach an MBA program there, and I teach operations there. So most of the case studies we do come from Harvard. But this is not from Harvard. This is from my experience. This is a company I ran in 2016, 15, 16. So this is an electrical commercial contractor company, and they were in a little bit of trouble. They're not doing very well. They wanted to potentially grow their business, and I had known the business owner for about 4 or 5 years. It took me that long to convince him to hire me, but he finally hired me. So, so when I got hired, usually the first thing I do is I go into a company and I interview everyone. Okay, this company, just to give you a little bit of background, they do about 10, 12 million in revenue, or that's what they did at the time. And they're an electrical commercial contractor. So basically what they do is, you know, someone has a problem with their, you know, with a building, or it could be, you know, a restaurant, it could be a hospital, it could be whatever. They go in there and they fix whatever electrical systems they may have. And they do only electric commercial, they don't do residential. So the first thing usually what I do when I go into a company is I really interview everyone in the company, from the janitor all the way to the CEO. One-on-one, usually I spend at least 15, 20 minutes with each person, and you'll be surprised that when you meet these individuals, everyone has their own opinion, everyone thinks about how the business should be run. Sometimes they have great ideas. Sometimes they just give you insight because they have this tribal knowledge, they give you insight about the business and how long have they been doing this, what do they think is going on with the business. So there's a lot of things that go on when you meet, and what's really funny is some people are skeptical, they don't want to really open up to me, and some people just like, okay, this guy's here to fix stuff, and they open everything, right? So it's kind of all over the place, and then some people it takes a while for them to kind of open up. But regardless, so what I
So by the way, just real quick, JJ, so it starts with that objectivity.
Yeah.
Notice that advice with coming in. So what are you not saying about your business? I love the picture because there's a guy who's leading the room, but look at all the other leaders that are in the room, right? So the key is that collaboration, and one of the things I like about JJ in this context is he gets to experience the reality of the culture. So if you were to have a meeting of everybody on your team together, if you were a fly on the wall, what would you see in your culture? What's the reality of your culture? Again, something to consider.
So part of that interview process, or meeting with everyone, is really kind of what we have here. Jim Collins, or James Collins, the book. What's it?
Fit to Great.
It's, yeah, Fit to Great, and so anyway, so it's putting the right people in the right seat. So one of the things that I noticed is that the VP of sales was in the wrong seat. So and so one of the things that I usually do is kind of mix people around. So I put the VP of sales in another position, I put the warehouse manager in another position for a period of time. But in this case, I noticed that the VP of sales is really not a VP of sales. He hated his job. He had been there for 5 years. He hated every minute of it. I thought he would be a better VP of operations. Now this is kind of, people would think that this is kind of too much change from a VP of sales, because they're completely different personalities. The sales guy is more open, talkative, they go meet with people, and the operations guy is more process oriented, they're very introverted maybe. But so when I approached the business owner about this, he goes, no way, this guy's, I want him to be VP of sales. I said, no, he's gonna be a great VP of operations. So he's been there since about 2016 now, and he's helped the company grow by about 30%. So he was the right person to be moved to the VP of operations. We never hired a VP of sales at the time, so there is no VP of sales after I moved this guy to a VP of operations, and the business owner is kind of managing the sales in general.
Wow, that's disruption. So how did they manage? I mean, he did it, but how long has it been since you've made the change, Richa?
2016, yeah.
So it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
So it took how long did it take him to actually adapt to that change and embrace it?
I think it took about 6 months before he realized that we should probably try that.
6 months of discomfort, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine that in your business, right?
Yeah. So so when I was there in the early days, I was there. This company was charging $95 an hour to go and provide service to companies, to commercial operations. And so, and they have been in business since 2006. And so 10 years charging $95 an hour. They did not change their price. So, so one of the things I usually do is I do a competitive analysis. So I did a competitive analysis of all the different companies that are similar size and they provide the same type of service within about 10-mile radius of where they are. Right? And so, and I noticed that they were charging $135 to $145 an hour. So again, I suggested to the business owner, why not charge $125? So they're still below the competitors, but it's still about 30% higher than what they're charging today, and that's going to affect really their bottom line, their top line, everything. So again, the business owner said, no, I'm going to lose every one of my customers. So it took a couple, 3 months for that to happen, but it did happen. No one left. Not one customer left them. And the reason the customers didn't leave, because, well, first they know that he's still competitive. And also the second thing is that they're with that business because of the quality of the service, not because of the $95 an hour. That's a major part of it.
So reflect on your business. So imagine with the prices you're charging now, how much control do you have over your pricing? And if you do have control, how much can you increase the pricing to make sure you're providing value without alienating your clients? Any just real quick, any discussions? I know you're eating, or we're having to modify our presentation because you're thinking about, but any perspectives on pricing and value provision? You don't have to share right now. You will be later, but any perspectives?
I was just thinking that he was commoditizing himself in his own mind.
There you go.
That
It's very
he
good.
was thinking that his customers would only do business with him based on price alone.
That's very, very true. And I can tell you probably 90% of the businesses I run into, they feel the same way.
I just had like an aha moment too, like where, why would they think, well, the competitors are charging double or whatever, you know, exponentially more.
Yeah.
And in their mind, they thought, because as a solopreneur, me, I think sometimes your self-talk gets in the way. And you say, well, they charge that, how could I, or whatever. And it's like, they were probably thinking the same thing, like, our customers don't expect that of us, so how could I charge that? But it's like, comes down to the value within yourself, and then you say, well, if they can, I can.
Why can't I?
It's like shifting. And so I just met with someone yesterday, and I was like, if she's charging that, we essentially do very similar, and she has really high value, high quality, and I was like, oh my gosh, so I just like literally had an aha moment for some reason. So everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, so very, very true. So I could tell you, for this type of business and some specific type businesses like this, you have to be within a range. But for other types of businesses, it could be software, like Rose was talking about, it could be other type. You charge for value, you don't really charge for the actual, price plus kind of thing, right? So in this type of business, you're paying the electricians maybe $30 to $40 an hour. You have to actually have a profit margin on top of that, but you can't charge $200 an hour. Now you're out of the range, and no one's gonna really hire you. But if you're within the range, you're really providing value and quality that counts. That's the most important. Do you have anything to say there? So,
Can I just make a quick comment?
yeah, please.
This topic is actually very relevant for women in particular, because women tend to price themselves under the market because, one, we value relationships. We're taught this in the female culture. The other reason is that we want to be liked. And so in order not to offend, women price themselves lower. So this is a great topic.
I agree.
Because I think if people are willing to pay, if they're invested in what you're offering, whatever it is, whatever service you're providing, then, and you build that relationship, then they, most of the time, more often than not, they would be willing to pay. But we often will undersell ourselves because of that. So it's a real issue for us to be mindful of.
No, I agree. And I think what happens is that if you're adding that value, if you're providing the right service and they like you, they're going to pay more. It doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't matter. All right, so one of the things that I noticed is that at this company, the technicians were going to the job site. So, you know, this is an electrical commercial contractor. You know, they have trucks, they have technicians, they go to the job site every morning, and they go take care of the work, etc. So I noticed that they go to the job site, you know, they're on top of a, you know, 30-story building, and now they don't have the right parts, right? They missed a component that they really need in order to fix or something. So I noticed that it was happening over and over again. So part of me engaging you is, what would you do in order to help solve that problem? Anybody?
Come up with a list of what you need.
Yeah, my husband deals with this stuff all the time. The sales guys that are doing the quotes are not thorough. They're not really doing their job walks properly. They're not looking at the specs properly. It happens in my husband's job all the time.
Okay.
They're always rushing parts back and forth, and
There you
know,
go.
it's like,
There you
I
go.
have people.
Lisa, you had the solution, what would you want to expand?
Yeah, what would the solution be?
Well, for the different types of jobs, you just have a list for each one, a checklist. You look at the checklist, you go, oh, we're gonna need this too, this too. You do that right after you quote the job, right? And then you make sure that you order what you need ahead of time if you don't have it in stock, and then you go equipped.
Okay.
Aren't they working on similar types of projects? I don't know what kind
Yeah.
of thing it is. So wouldn't their trucks be outfitted with whatever is necessary all the time?
That's very
Unless it's a
true.
one-off.
They're all good answers. So yes, so every one of the answers or discussions here is right. So the salespeople were doing their job for the most part, but also what they didn't do is they did not stage the job properly. So what happened was they think they got all the components they want, all the parts they want, maybe all the tools that they want, but then they go and they're missing. So what I did in this situation is I made every one of the technicians that's scheduled for the next day come in the night before, the evening before, and then we hired a procurement manager to procure all the different parts and components they need. And now that procurement manager became in charge of making sure that every job is staged properly. So now they have a checklist, and then they check everything, and then every technician puts everything on their truck, and then the next morning they go. So now we do not have that issue anymore, because again, it's a process, right? So they did not have that process in place. Everything was kind of ad hoc, right? Okay, yeah, I'll put my own stuff, but now the procurement manager became in charge of that process, made sure that everyone in the company is equipped with whatever they need, including the tools that they need, not just the parts.
I have a software I can sell them.
That's right.
I'm procuring the goods.
There you go.
So as a byproduct of of staging the night before, so most technicians used to come to the office in the morning and then go to the job site. So part of creating a little bit of efficiency in the system is that if you drive from home to work, you're not paid for that time, right? So if you drive from home to the office, then you go from the office to the job site, you have to get paid from the office to the job site. So what I implemented is that I had all the technicians take their trucks home, and now they drive from their home directly to the job site, and now they're not getting paid for that time. According to California law, I'm not a lawyer, but you don't have to get paid for that time because it's considered driving from your home to work. And so now the efficiency, so now there's a lot of cost reduction just by doing that by itself. So now instead of paying someone another $30, $40 an hour just to drive for another hour or maybe an hour and a half, now they're driving from home to the job site. Now they didn't like it, some of the technicians didn't like it, but that's reality. They really needed to do that in order for the company to improve.
And some of these decisions are going to be hard, right? Because is it the right thing to do? And maybe it's the right thing to do for the bottom line, but it's the wrong thing to do for the people. And then as business owners, we gotta prioritize, what are we here to do? Are we here just to, again, I love people and I love serving people and leading teams and everything, but is that our job? You know, back to the right people in the right seats. You know, if you got somebody in a seat that's not oriented toward helping you make profit, it's something to consider. So reflect on your business.
Did they
Yeah.
lose people as a result of, like, technicians as a
It's
result
funny,
of that
they did
change?
not lose anyone.
Okay.
No, I did it at another company, it was a different type of business, and they lost 2 people. They had about 10 people, they lost 2 people out of, because they wanted to just get paid for everything.
I'm done.
Sure.
So, and the other thing I didn't mention is that when you're moving from job site to job site, you get paid for that time.
Yes.
But according to California law, also you don't have to pay them their full rate. You can pay them a driving rate, which is like $15 an hour. And she would know because she's in the HR business.
Weighted overtime would be a pain for the payroll person, but you could do
It is, yes. So it's weighted overtime, exactly. So now you pay them $15 an hour for the driving portion of their job, and now you're cutting, that in half basically. But again, it's not against the law. It's within the limits, and again, saving the company money. And at another company, just to mention it, so the owner said, you know what, I'm just gonna pay them full rate, even for driving, and that's their prerogative. They could do that. He just wanted to treat everybody the right way, in his opinion. But I'm the efficiency guy. I would do the $15 an hour.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so we have installers and they have to take the right film to the job, and they do take the vehicles home, and then they go to the job site in the morning.
There you go.
And then we give them extra jobs after that job because they have more time.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, we get to fit in more jobs per day.
So you end up making more money, and they end up making more money. That's for sure.
So they go back to the job in the morning.
Direct.
Yeah, that's very good. All right, so what's really funny is after we talked about some of the technicians going to the job sites and having all the parts, all the components, tools, whatever they need, I've noticed that still sometimes they need additional parts. Even after we made that process more efficient with the staging, they still needed more parts. Sometimes they never notice that something is required, and they go there and like, oh my God, I need this. So what was happening is these technicians, again, getting paid $30, $40 an hour, they leave the job site and they go to Home Depot, they go to a supply store, they go to Lowe's, whatever, and they are spending about 2 hours on average. So by the time they go and come back, sometimes 2.5, 3 hours, because traffic's, if they're in downtown LA, whatever it is. And so what would you do to fix that problem?
Well, are they the right resource to go get those tools? Is there another way to get them and get them delivered versus having them leave the site? And then the other part would be, how do you do an audit of which situations are triggering that crisis most frequently and try to do the workaround?
All right, any other
We usually
comments,
have
options?
2 installers. One installer goes out, gets the part, comes back, and then the other one continues working until that one is out.
Okay, all right. Anyone else? Both great ideas, but what I did is I implemented what Ann suggested. So what I created is I created a runner job. So a runner is someone who would be in charge of 4 different crews, and so the crew says, I'm missing this component, and then he would go to Home Depot or a supply store, pick it up and deliver it directly to the job site. So and they had a small pickup truck or maybe an electric vehicle where it's not like you're driving the huge big gas guzzler that's doing that. So by doing this, and then instead of paying the technician who's $30, $40 an hour to go and do the work, now we're paying this guy minimum wage to go to Home Depot, pick it up. So by the time you do the calculation, the savings are tremendous.
So apply this to your business. So maybe you don't have the literal HVAC model where you gotta have a runner and everything, but think about how you're managing your resources, whether it be human resource, the equipment. By the way, he talks about trucks. Well, that's overhead. So you got a truck runner, you're gonna be paying for that. So think about this. I mean, some of you are in, we got financial management, law, real estate, and everything. How can you apply it to your mechanism? to your system. So think about it. We don't have to discuss it necessarily, but it's really important that you apply yourself in this context. Yeah.
One thing that Tori and I talked about in our share is about delegating. And that's a great way to maybe farm out some things that your time is too valuable, but some things that are, administrative or maybe just a routine task, maybe you could delegate that to someone else.
That falls right into
spare up your time, yeah. So,
that falls right in there, yeah. It's because instead of doing it yourself, you farm it out to someone else that will do the work.
And I'm sure there's probably aspects of all of our businesses where there's parts of it that you could farm out to someone else who could do it less expensive, but the value of that is your time. You get your time back.
Time is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So another thing, so again, it's all what I do is I look at how can I create more efficiencies in the business. So just like you said earlier, Rose, is that for an electrical commercial contractor, you're using the same component all the time, right? Mostly you're using 90% of the time you're using the same switch, the same fixture, whatever it is, you're using them all the time. So part of the procurement manager's job is to go and procure all the different components, and then they go out and pick them up from the supplier, or the runners pick them up, or the supplier delivers them. But what I needed to do is I needed to create a better mousetrap, and the better mousetrap was to have the supplier put all the components in the back of the warehouse. So now they bring everything once a week, and they put them in the back of the warehouse, and all the technicians go and grab what they want. We had a gun, and they click the inventory, and now once a week the supplier comes back and then recounts the inventory and then bills for whatever was used. But now, so it created a lot more efficiency because you don't have to go and pick up or have the runner pick up or have the supplier deliver 2, 3, 4 times a week. Now it's all there. And if they needed a special part, special component, then they would go out and get that one. But 90% of it is right now in-house, and it's right there available for the technicians to pick up and take with them.
And then you were able to have a supplier store their inventory on
They
site,
actually
which
loved it.
saved a lot of money.
It saved them a lot of money because now they come once a week, they fill it, and they don't have to worry about continuously every day ordering stuff. So they loved it, and now we're ordering only from them. So one supplier. What?
You'll receive
and a way better pricing, right? Because now sometimes they go to 2 or 3 different suppliers, and now you go, okay, if you supplier are willing to do this, then you better give us better pricing, and then we're going to buy only from you. So way better.
So and just a case in this context is Harley Davidson, right? About 30 years ago, they were tanking, basically. They were going out of business. And the way they did it was the just-in-time inventory paradigm. You know that just-in-time with the, so it's now become kind of ubiquitous as a valid strategy, but they didn't know anything about it. Now it's obvious. And it's that innovation, that as they innovated it and all of a sudden brought other suppliers on site and they didn't have any inventory, but their suppliers had to provide the equipment and the components and the parts just in time. Now it's just normal way of being. So think about that. Before it was invented, in hindsight, and by the way, the greatest thing about innovation is you look back on it, you're like, why didn't I think of that, right? So that's the condition we're putting you in right now. What are you not thinking about in your business? As we give you case studies, and I wrote my dissertation on Harley, so I know about Harley, right? And it's a great model. So how's your model great? And what are you going to do to make it better?
All right, so a few months after implementing most of these issues that we talked about, or efficiencies, I noticed that some of the jobs, so this company is billing, they bill per job, and what they do is they provide a warranty for that job, right? So it's 90-day warranty, and so I noticed some of the jobs that were there, they were losing money after a while, and then I noticed that the reason they're losing money because there was a call for warranty. So most of the time, if there is one call for warranty, that job may still be profitable, but sometimes maybe just breaks even. But if there's 2 calls for warranty, I guarantee you that job is losing money. So I started, that wasn't tracked. So I started tracking warranty recalls, right? And I started tracking who's doing the first job of doing the actual first initial work, and then who's actually going back for warranties. Then I found out that 2 people were doing the original and the follow-on. And then we had to fire them because the company was losing money because of these individuals. Now, there are other solutions. Can anyone come up with another solution to do that?
Training.
Training. Exactly. So, oddly enough, this company had a training program every day, after work, 6 p.m., you can come and get trained for free.
At 6 p.m.?
Yeah. But it's free, right?
Oh, it's free, okay.
No, yeah, but you know what? There were a lot of people that did go attend, which is, because they wanted to be better at what they do. So they did 6 p.m. It's after you're done with your job, right? But there was free program, and a lot of the employees went and got trained, which is because they wanted to really get better at what they do, and I did not implement that. That was already done. So.
By the way, imagine a culture of employees that are actually understand the value of training, and they're willing to do it, not getting paid. Because you talk about free, well, shucks, if it's good training, they would probably have to pay for it, just like you do when you get a degree. But imagine a culture where people are so oriented toward keeping their head sharp that they're willing to do that kind of training. That's the cultures we got to create.
I thought of 2 other things.
Yeah.
So going back to this my supplier app.
Yeah.
Based on your suppliers, are you buying and using the same quality product from A versus B versus C? So there could be quality control of the
that's true.
product.
Yeah.
And then also, I hear this advertisement on cable or something like that, in air conditioning.
Yeah.
They have a quality control. So what are you using as quality control to double check their work?
Yeah.
They advertise that they take a picture and then they can evaluate your candidate.
So this segues perfectly into the
sorry.
next. No, which is great. No, I know, but I did not think of the first one you talked about, but the second one, which is quality control in pictures. That's what we started doing. So this is on the automation side of things. So this company's automation was QuickBooks. That's it. There was nothing else. Right? That was QuickBooks, and it wasn't used properly either. They're salespeople. For salespeople, the extent of their automation is business cards on their desk. Not even a Rolodex, not even an Excel spreadsheet, nothing. I mean, it was just like, wow, I'll figure out when to call this guy next, right? That's like, it was really that bad. Talk about marketing, talk about sales, talk about, so, and then we had a dispatch department as well. So dispatcher had her own room, and she had a whiteboard, cross-check like a table, and then everything is written on the board. This guy's out today, and then at the bottom, this guy's out tomorrow. And I walked by one time, and I, scraped it with my elbow, and then I couldn't figure out who's who. So it was like, come on. And then the other thing that was happening, and again, people don't notice that, is that some of the technicians, leave for an hour and a half for lunch, but they don't report that, right? So, or they go and meet their wives for dinner, or for a break, or whatever it is, or their girlfriends, or whatever. So, no, serious, it happened. So, so what happened is we needed to really create a better way of kind of tracking all this. So I ended up finding the right software solution that integrates all this together. So we ended up having a system that integrates directly with QuickBooks, and then you'd be able. We added tablets. So now all the technicians go in the field after they're done with the job. They can go and get checked out, and they get a signature sign off from the customer instead of doing it on paper and then having it redone again, double entry. The other thing, we put GPSs on all the trucks, and now we know where everybody is at all times.
And how fast they're driving.
And we know how fast, we know everything about them, right? And then also on their phone or on the tablet, they now can check, clock their brakes right in and out, because that's really important. And also they they're able to, clock in and out for lunch when they go out to lunch. So the other thing, the dispatching became a lot more automated, and we put a like a 70-inch screen TV, and then you could see where everybody is at all times. You can with the GPS you can see the map, and you can see where they are. You can see them moving, and for dispatching you could tell exactly who's going tomorrow, who's going for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Exactly who's leaving to what job at what time, etc. So by doing that, we changed the entire way of automating the operation, not just having QuickBooks. And of course, it has a built-in CRM. I talked about that. Now I trained them on how to. I'm not a sales specialist. I'm not creating compensation plans or anything. But now I'm just trying to automate the process of, okay, how you're following up with your customers. Who's following up with them? Are you owning that customer? And checking with them maybe after the job is done, because that's probably more important than before you do the job, because you want to make sure the job is done right. So that's kind of the automation piece of it. I don't know if I'm done. I think I'm done.
Great.
Thank you.
So just in that context,
Yeah.
go ahead, round of applause for that. Thank you. So systemization, I think most of the businesses in this room are service-based businesses. Do you have industry-specific software programs that you use or could apply? Like when I think of real estate, I think like an LMS type thing. I work with a landscape company. They've got it's a landscape management system. Interesting acronym, by the way. LMS, landscape. Same, forget acronyms. But it's dedicated to the landscaping industry. So know that there's programs that are designed to systemize, and don't try to invent the wheel yourself, right? Fall in on programs that already exist and use them and leverage them appropriately. So this is the reflection time, okay? So everything we talked about, we had an intention today. We kind of hoisted the sails, we put wind in them now, and our ideal is that you apply these concepts, this case study, to your business. So what have you come up with that you can do, that you can change in your business? Just in this room, it's quick, but what are you thinking about?
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about. I do have a system I use. I've got a few of them actually, but my CRM, it does so much more than what I use it for, so I need to spend some time learning how to use it better.
That's the problem.
You need to systemize.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things it does that I don't regularly use.
May I ask what the brand is?
It's Redtail.
Okay,
so it's a financial advisor.
I didn't know about that brand. So there's so many models out there. I didn't know about Redtail. But I think of like Salesforce. We've all heard of Salesforce.
Yeah, it's like Salesforce.
It's a monstrosity. There's a lot of modules, and nobody ever uses all the modules.
Yeah.
Some do. But there's so much potential that people just don't tap into. So Redtail, how can you use Redtail more effectively? Good thinking.
It just takes so much time to put the data in there. As a salesperson, that's not my favorite thing to do is data entry.
Hire somebody.
I know, exactly.
And there's apps you can scan cards.
Yeah,
and things like
you
that,
can,
so
but you would
there's
have to have
technology.
it be able to match up with the system that you're using in order to upload all that information. Because that's the thing that I have a challenge with is not utilizing it enough, because I'm like, oh, I have to put all these people, and then it's like day after day, it's like I have 100 people I have to put in there, and so you have to do it consistently.
So
Like exercise.
I have a CRM, and my project manager who I invested in because it was something I had to offload or whatever. I was like, I don't understand this. This is not my wheelhouse. This is your wheelhouse. She's an ops manager. She likes to be called something else, but anyway, like an OBM, And the CRM is customized to coaching, and she's proficient in it. And I get frustrated, and I'm not using it and so I rehired her again this year. So I was like, I need you to do this stuff for me. And she knows my whole business model. She believes in what I do, and she knows what I need in there and then some. And so it's like time versus, and time is money. Somebody's everything. And it is. I'm like, I have to pay for this. It's such peace of mind, and she like I said, I trust her too. And so that was my thought process, is scheduling in the things that need to get done, I think, as business owners and everything, and what's priority and when to fit it in.
And then and back to leveraging systems. I mean, Fiverr.com, if you haven't heard about it. You can buy a $5 gig and hire people on a contingency. It used to be called Elance. What's it called now? Odesk, I think.
Upwork.
These are, I mean, this is the,
Upwork and Fiverr are very similar.
this is the Uberization
You
of
can
labor.
outsource things for very inexpensive money.
What
It's
is
sourced
it?
throughout the globe. Fiverr is Fiverr.
Fiverr.com. With an R.
Fiverr, yeah, .com, and then Upwork.com.
I think there's also systems out there that I currently use that actually so it pulls the emails into our system. We don't have a sales team who can enter the info, and it takes the information from their signature and uploads it into our system automatically. So that's what we use.
Yeah, I need that.
Well, it's a cello, but I built it from ground up. So you'd have to do that, but it's our project.
I see a business for you. I see a business for you right there. Build money you can sell.
Information. Seriously. But yeah, it pulls in our emails because we would lose emails and we had these huge customers that nobody would reach out to. So I got one that pulled the emails in, took the information from those emails and put it into our system so that the salesperson could go in there and the salesperson loves us. So finally hired someone to manage that.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing about systemizing is really like something that JJ talked on earlier is the right person in the right seat, so that like you farm out, or you delegate, hire people like you have to do all the things you hate to do, because that's not your bailiwick. That's not where you're going to be spending the most time frustrated trying to do something that's not in your natural wheelhouse. And so when you're freed up from all those things, then you can do what you do best, you know what I mean? So it's really like finding those right people, and it's hard to find the right people because I found a lot of wrong ones. I found, you know what I mean? So it is, and so if you have a gold mine in your girl, and I would like to know what software you're using. I'm in collection mode right now, you know what I mean? Because I'm trying to systemize everything really quickly while I go take on a W-2 so my business can still do what it does, and so I would absolutely buy whatever you build. So I'm telling you, that's a business opportunity for you because, Nikki, I want it.
What's it called again? It's acello.com. It is a project management system, and then I customized it to because we're custom products. So all of the systems were different, so I put everything in one, and then you can choose which way you want to go with it. But this one does pull all the emails in, and it's Outlook. We use Outlook, we use QuickBooks, we use T-Sheets, everything's together. And HubSpot, we just got HubSpot, and the contacts connect to each other, so it can go through HubSpot into Acello or Acello up to HubSpot, both ways. And then it automatically sends emails to all those customers. Once you build an email that you want to send to everybody, you can also choose who you want to send it to. It does it automatically. So that's what we're doing.
So just get back on track. We're out of time, we're over time, and I still got some stuff to cover, but notice what's happening, the cross-pollination. That's what I love about these groups, is really helping each other out, for me, it's the metaphor. I'm a big Marvel Comics guy, so the Avengers, right? We have Iron Man, and we have the Hulk, and we all have superpowers, right? If you can bring it together, you can change the world. So the challenge with this group is that how can you continue to have these discussions after we walk out of the room and beyond? What difference can it make for your business? So again, reflecting, paying attention, keeping your eye on your ball, seeing what you're not seeing. Analyzing your processes, being open to suggestions, improving your processes, making the necessary changes, execution, and then doing what it takes. So again, great opportunity for reflection, and the key is the takeaway. What do you do? Why do you do it? Really good book. Again, I love books. The Secrets to Success are hidden in books. The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni, really good book. Anybody read this? 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, The Ideal Team Player.
That's awesome.
That's the classic book. This is a really good compilation of all of his concepts, including the 5 Dysfunctions and the Ideal Team Player. So just summary of the book. It's a perfect reflection for what we're talking about. Why do we exist? Why are you in business? Are you in business because you're doing what your parents told you they thought you should do? Are you following your own purpose and your own path? And then this gets to your reflection for your entire team as well. How do we behave? Not making assumptions, but having those meetings and doing some personality assessments, doing DISC, Myers-Briggs, 360, or whatever, so we know what strengths to play to. What do we do? What do we do? We do what we do, but how can we do it more effectively? How can we raise the bar? How are we gonna succeed? What are our parameters of success? Setting the strategic plans, knowing what you're gonna go for, and creating accountability mechanisms to make sure it happens. What's most important right now? By the way, you're all gonna walk out this room right now. You wrote down some challenges. What are you gonna do right now, as soon as you walk out this door, before even as you get to valet? Are you gonna call somebody? Are you gonna set a goal? Take action right now toward the achievement of your goal. That's the key to goal achievement, is act now. And then, who must do what, right? People, right seats in the bus. So again, this was, if we had time, we were gonna unpack this, but read the book, really good perspectives. So that's it, that's a summary of what we got. Again, lots of things to talk about, and now we're gonna do the giveaway. So, okay, so first thing, as I said, we're gonna give away 4 things. The first thing we're gonna give is energy. Who wants more energy? Okay. So what I've got is a $10 Starbucks gift card.
That's energy.
That's energy. No, the person who gets this. Actually, here, just
So have Sean.
yeah, Sean, you pull it.
Okay.
Unbiased.
Jennifer Horspool.
Here's your card. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You hear Rose? She said you're gonna need the Starbucks.
Okay, next gift is the gift. What did I say the second one was? The gift of
Value?
knowledge.
Oh,
Knowledge. And I wrote a book about 8 years ago called GPS for Success. It was a compilation with Stephen Covey, John Gray, Les Brown. And it's out of print, but I'm going to give a copy away to...
Is it signed?
Here, actually.
It's about, it will be.
Yay!
You transmuted the thought.
Manifested it.
Okay, and the last 2 items were value.
Yeah.
So the next item is going to be a complimentary session with JJ. And what do you do during a complimentary session? An hour-long session?
An hour-long session on whatever you want.
Focus on whatever you want to do. Too. Just time. That's nice. Like a $500 value.
Wow, that's awesome.
Diana.
All right. So we'll be in touch with you, Diana.
I'm lucky I'm at the table.
I know. And then the last one is a complimentary session with me.
Wow.
So it can't be the end of the table. You guys.
Yeah.
That's weird. And Tedesco.
All right. Thanks, Ann. I'll call you. Or send you an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank
I hope you all
very
got
much.
value out of
Thank
this.
you very much.
Let's do it again. Keep up the good
Let's
work.
give a round of applause.
Okay, we'll just do your thing. We're going to buzz around in the back room and unplug, okay?
Okay, sounds good. So we'll move into, so at every peer group, we'll have, we